So now we're right on the back straight here. We're interviewing a chap called Frederic, who's a professor based out of Germany, who teaches in Germany and the Middle East. In this case here, we've got somebody who bought two different courses. First, he bought PJ Milani's course. Second, he bought Janis's course. This interview encapsulates both of those switches. Frederic himself thinks he's bought them for very similar reasons. At the end, in my kind of monologue after the interview itself, I debate that in my own head, and since then I've had the opportunity to debrief both of those stories. So why don't you listen in and see if you can hear both of them too.
So, Frederic, just to give you a bit of background of what's going on, what we're trying to get in this particular research, a very, very early stage research, and we're interested in the language that people use to describe both realizing that there's a problem or an opportunity to solve, going out shopping for courses or finding a course and deciding to buy it, and then experience using the course. So this is your story in your own words of how you've ended up on Janis's course. So there's no trick questions, you can't get anything wrong. If you don't remember it, don't worry, it's not a problem. The only downside to this, I'll apologize up front, where it's about language, if you say something or use a phrase, I might interrupt, and it's not because I want to be rude. It's just I've got to make sure I understand what you mean or how you're using that phrase relative to others. So sorry if I step in, but it's just to try and make sure I'm and yeah, basically you can kind of think about this. Imagine we're shooting a Netflix series of Janis's customers, and this is your episode. So I might ask some sort of weird questions about. Imagine I'm following you around with the video camera trying to shoot the scene and who you're with and what's going on. But yeah, like I said, it's your story in your own words, so hopefully it'll help jog that memory.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So on that, perhaps just to start off, would you be able to give me a bit of a backstory and tell me a little bit about who you are, maybe what you do, or what's going on in the sort of big picture context of your life around the time that you've joined Janis's course?
Yes, okay. So I work as a researcher and professor. So I teach at a university in political science, and I'm currently based in Germany and work also in the Middle East. So I teach at 3 universities in the Middle East and also German university. And I did the course in summer, like I think late spring, summer, Janis course. So I don't work in the creative field. I mean, I write articles and in the field of research, but I was always interested in visualization and how I can visualize my ideas. The idea was also to use it for teaching, so I started slowly to use visualization in teaching. And I did another course before, not with Janis. So I was with Janis. I don't remember actually how I came across him. I think it was probably seeing his post on LinkedIn or another social. Yeah, I think on LinkedIn, I guess. And then I started to follow him, and then I saw the advertisement for his course, and then there was, I think, an offer, and then I took it.
Okay.
So this was a bit, maybe the background.
That's awesome, Frederic. Thank you so much for that. So you're a researcher and a professor of political science in university. You teach in Germany and the Middle East.
Yes.
You mentioned that, so you're writing articles and research. Is this a large part of what you do for a living? Is this how much of your time you're spending writing articles and writing up research?
Yeah, it's probably about like half of my time, I would say. So it's a relatively big part of my job. Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks. You said you've been interested in visualization. Like, why, how long? Like how do I sort of picture? If I'm videoing somebody playing you to be interested, where does this interest come from?
Yeah, good question. So I think I was always more like a visual person. So that means I realized that for me it's easy, I think, to process information when looking at something, like at good pictures or like graphics, sometimes also tables. So I think this is something I knew for quite some time already, that it's easier for me to process it. Then because I'm in academia, I also do presentations at conferences. I listen to a lot of presentations by other people. So naturally, I also have to design my own slides for the presentations, and also like get inspiration from other people. And here I always try to get better, to make slides that are easier to understand. And the same for my teaching. Here, of course, also I have to design slides. And this is also something that brought me to the field of visualization, where I thought I can maybe improve, and was looking for some resources and courses that I can take.
Okay, that's cool. So you using it to teach, and this is predominantly the slides. So if I'm sat in your lecture, you're like, what was on the slide before, and what are you either putting on it now you've gone through the course, or hoping to put on it in the future?
Yeah. So basically, so it didn't change much for now. So what I also did is like just to practice to publish visuals on LinkedIn. So that is not related to my research or to my teaching, but just to get some practice and some feedback. And I also participate in a group of visual thinkers. We are usually meeting once a week. So, but it's more like to gain practice and also maybe to see on where this can lead me. So it's not, I don't have a specific goal with that. But when it comes to my slides, so I incorporated a few of my own visuals that I was drawing before onto a few slides. But this is like a relatively recent, recent development.
Okay.
And I hope in the future to do it more. Yes.
That's cool. So you mentioned that you've joined Janis's course in the spring, summer of this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you remember? Like, when would it have been?
I mean the exact, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be exact, but like, would it have been during term time? Would it have been after term time? Like roughly when do you remember signing up?
Yeah. So I think it was like May, June, if I remember correctly. Yeah, something like this. I think, yeah.
Okay. And in your university sort of semesters or schedule, is this whilst you're teaching? Is it before or after?
Yeah, so it was still during the semester, if I remember correctly. But as it is a self-paced course, it was okay. So I had enough. Yeah, I could, because I can do it at any time. So this was the advantage, I think, of the course, that there are no fixed lectures, but you can do it in your free time. So it was okay and feasible.
Okay, that's cool. And in your own words, somebody else asked you what you'd bought. How would you describe it? What would you say you'd bought?
You mean like the course, or?
Yeah, the course. So what did you pay for? What did you get? Or rather, as you were purchasing it, how would you have described what it was you were buying?
Yeah. So I think the idea was how to get better at visualization, maybe also to become more creative, to learn on how to generate ideas for visuals, how to learn about the process of visualization, to get some new insights. And I also wanted to compare it because I took another course from another visual thinker before. And so I wanted to know, like, if Janis had a different approach for the process of visualization.
Okay, that's cool. You mentioned this. You've done this other course previously. When was that? Is that something that's relatively recent? Is that quite some time ago?
That was also relatively recent. So it was in January. Yeah, in January. Yeah, okay. January of this year. So relatively recent. Yeah.
And what was the other course that you joined?
It was from PJ Milani. Yeah, PJ Milani. So he's an American designer, visual thinker.
Okay, that's cool. And what was that course all about? What did you learn from that?
So I think there are a lot of similarities, or some differences. From the teaching method. So with the Milani course, he had like live sessions. So we had like 6 live sessions, but they were also recorded. So I tried to participate, but because of the time difference, it was quite difficult because he's based in Texas and I'm in Europe. So it's like the evening, US evening time. But this was one difference. Also, the material was a bit different. So I mean, like, Janis mainly has videos, and Milani also has more other resources. So the recordings of his his teaching sessions, but he also like provides other resources like documents and links and also slides.
Okay. And what would be in those documents, links, and slides?
Usually there are examples of visuals. They are like very well, also like the, how to say, like from the different stages of the visualization process. So he has designed a presentation for each of the stages that he has identified, and then that he thinks we should learn about. So this is mainly about the slides. So basically he used his own visualization to design slides with the essential information on the different stages of the poster visualization.
Okay, so PJ Milani's you've joined in January 2025, but this is a live session with 6 live pieces.
Yeah.
Sometimes you join it. How many of them did you join live?
I think 2 times, yeah.
Okay. And what did you learn there? Like what was that teaching? You know, if you were describing that to somebody when you saw it or whatever you thought you bought, what was it that one was teaching you?
Yeah, I think it was basically the same. I mean, of course, some differences, but the objective was the same. So it was also about generating ideas for visuals. Then he also, this is like something that is more unique to him, I think, that he described or explained metaphors that we can use, so visual metaphors. Then he also gave us some recipes for making visuals. Then he also talked about iteration, so that we have to practice and also can do like the same visual, the same idea for visual a few times. So this different iteration. We also learned about style and how to create our own style, our own avatar, if we want to have one.
Okay, that's cool. So maybe if I lock that one down first, because it seems like there's a couple of different, it's like stories within a story. But if we go there, so Jan 25, you've gone to PJ Milani's course. How much did that cost? Can you remember?
Yeah, it was a bit more expensive. I don't remember exactly. I think it was, good question. I think $300 or $400. I think dollars. Yeah, something like. I'm not 100% sure. Something like this. There was a discount, so I think I think something like this. Yeah, I have to check for.
And I always ask this question. Sorry, I didn't tell you. I was also going to ask some very stupid questions. $300 or $400. Obviously, you're trying to remember it now. Is that a lot of money to spend?
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but actually, I thought it was actually a fair price for what I got. So I think it was I think it was a very good price actually. So I was happy with the money that I spent.
Okay. Are you the sort of person? Obviously, you're a professor and a researcher. Do you set aside money to spend on things like this, or like where did you get the money from? Did it come out of a personal development budget, or did you have to take it from another?
Yeah, it was for my own. Yeah, I mean, I don't have like a personal development budget, but but it's the idea. Yes, so it was for my own private money, and I just decided to do it. But I was not like, I didn't really like think about it for a long time. So it was like more spontaneous idea. I was thinking, oh, that's great, I can do it. And then I saw like there was a discount and offer, and I was already following Milani for some time on LinkedIn and on Instagram, and then I already admired his visuals, and I was thinking, okay, now it's a good time to just do it. And
okay, so it's not like there's money set aside for this. You've taken, like, what would you spend that money on if you hadn't spent it on this?
Good question. Yeah, maybe on books, on
other learning materials.
Other learning materials, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. And so January 2025 is when you've joined this PJ Milani course. Can you take me back to the first moment that you thought, like, hey, I've got to learn this, or I've got a gap in my knowledge, or what was it like? When did this suddenly trigger in your head that you even had to go looking for a course in the first place?
Yeah, so I think I always have been curious to learn new things, so it's not so unusual, I would say. And then I just saw the offer and I said, okay, I will do it. And I was already thinking for quite some time that I always wanted to draw actually, but I'm not really good at it. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe it's a new skill that I can learn. So it was like, but it was not like, it was more like a more spontaneous decision. So I didn't plan it for a long time. It was just something that I thought about for. Then I saw the offer, I thought about it for a few days, and then I said, okay, just go for it.
Okay.
And try it out. And then I liked it, and since then I wanted to learn more, and now I'm doing visuals.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned that you were following PJ Milani on LinkedIn and Instagram. When did you first start following him on these things?
Yeah, I think it was last year. I cannot tell you which month, but yeah, I think last year. So for some time, or maybe I was following for at least 6 months, I would say, before I took the course, maybe even longer. I'm not sure.
Okay, so no, that's no problem. So about 6 months. Can you remember why did you start following him in the first place?
Because I liked his visuals, so I think they inspired me. So I think he had good ideas. I was also receiving a newsletter. So he has a newsletter that I received via email. And there was also like great information in it. So it means about visuals, but also on how to do visuals, on also some books that he was introducing. So I also actually bought a few of the books that he was like suggesting for learning how to visualize. So I think there was a bit of the process before.
Okay. And that's quite interesting. So obviously 6 months beforehand, it was a spontaneous idea to spend $300 or $400 on his course because it was discounted. But 6 months before, you were following him. Sounds like you signed up to his newsletter. You've bought some of these books. So maybe this has been going on for a bit longer than just a year or so. Can you remember what is it that lures you towards that in the first place? I think you mentioned you want to draw, but you're not very good at it, and you were curious to learn new things. Well, how does that thought come about?
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe I can use visualization in my teaching and my research. So I was thinking it would be great if I would be able to create this kind of visuals like Milani or Janis and then incorporate them into my slides for my teaching. So this was the idea that maybe all the things that I'm teaching, that I'm writing about, maybe I could bring them into visuals. And I also realized that for students, usually good slides are quite important. So I think the students usually, I'm getting good feedback about the slides and my presentations. And I always think about how I can improve them and how even I can make it maybe even easier for the students to process information and the knowledge that I try to convey and to teach.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, this this specific course is something that you've latched onto more recently because you'd seen these visuals on LinkedIn, but I'm not sure whether the order of these things matter, but I'm aware that good slides make it easier for students, and that's important because then they're going to give me a better grade as a teacher. Is that right?
Not necessarily about a better grade, so they don't grade me, or they don't even really give feedback. They give feedback to me, but not to my superiors. Actually, it's not like, it's just like because I just want to improve. I want to
Okay, so this isn't like I'm getting judged by students and I've got to make sure I'm doing this. It's more I want to talk to my students. I want to make sure they're getting value from this.
Yeah,
getting
exactly.
feedback from them, and the better my slides are, the better my feedback is. Which then needs to make it. How do I make it easier for students to understand?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's then led at some point into thinking, can I use visuals in the teaching and learning experience? Is that the right sequence, or have I messed that up?
Yeah, I think that's the right sequence. Yeah, and I mean, there's also a process behind it. Of course, that I was already thinking on how to design slides before. I was thinking about and also like reading books, watching videos on how to structure presentations. So that means the whole process on how to deliver a good presentation, for example, and also a good teaching experience. This is something I started already years ago. So I also attended different seminars on teaching methods, for example. So I would say that this was not about visualization, but I would say it's connected to the idea on how to become a better teacher, and on how to make better presentations. And this process is already something I was thinking of learning about, doing about like for some years already. So this is not new, but this kind of that maybe visualization and like drawing, this is like a new skill I would like to incorporate, but it's like in the broader context of like my teaching skills, teaching methods, and also like skills of presentation.
Yeah, okay, that's really great. Thanks. And how long have you been in a position where you need to create and use slides, and therefore feel like you've got to get better at it? Is this something for a few years, for tens of years? Like,
yeah, quite long already. Like I think, 15 years. Yeah, at least 15 years. I'm already teaching, maybe more even. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Now you've mentioned a few times that this is a new skill, and drawing, I'm not very good at it. So maybe this is time for yet another stupid question. So apologies. It already sounds like you've got loads of work on your plate. I'm trying my hardest to get my slides to be better and clearer and easier for students to understand. And I'm reading books, taking courses. Why get a new skill to do that? Like, why not just get better at the skills that you've got?
Yeah, good questions. I mean, drawing is fun for me, so I like it. I think it's also motivation. So actually, I like to do it. And now I want to do like a drawing course here in Berlin, Germany, where I'm based right at the moment. But it's like an in-person class, because now I was thinking, like, in the courses of Janis and of Milani, it's not about drawing, it's about visualization, so it's a bit different. But now I think the next step for me is actually to get better at drawing, so that I can, maybe also get better at visualization, I could say. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Thanks. And this kind of drawing's fun, but I'm not very good at it. Before you took any of these courses, did you sit and sort of sketch stuff or try and do this? Or is it just, I would like to do that, and I can't, and so therefore I'm going to do a course to learn how?
Yeah. So I think it was more the latter. So I want to do it, but I can't. I think the last time I really was using it was like in school, and in school I wasn't good at it, and then never really tried again. And now I was thinking maybe it's the time to try again.
Okay. And so this sort of, it's fun. It was fun to do it at school, but you're not very good at it, so drop it and do subjects you are good at. Are you hoping to pick this up then as a hobby to do, or is it only for the slides and for the LinkedIn and the sort of making it easier for people to understand ideas?
Yeah, in a way, it's also a hobby, because the visuals that I'm publishing on LinkedIn, they don't have a special purpose. So it's just that I try myself out and like just trying it and see what kind of feedback I'm getting. But there's no specific, I mean, I'm not saying anything, or just like, so there's no specific objective behind it. The only objective is that basically I want to get better at this kind of skill. And then maybe at some point, I don't know, maybe it will also lead me to something new, but I don't know. But for now, it's more like a hobby. And then the idea to incorporate it into my teaching and my research.
Okay. So this is kind of, it's tied to a long-term goal of, I communicate ideas, I want to make myself clearer and make it easier for people to understand those ideas. Yet I see this stuff and I think, oh, I'll go and learn that. I'll pay PJ and then I'll pay Janis. But I'm not going to go and use it in my slides. I think you said you've not used it yet. You're going to put these things out and test it and get feedback and practice. And is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So I used it a few times in my slides, but not very often so far. So you're right. It's many.
Now you mentioned you were on PJ's newsletter. Can you tell me about that? Like, how do I end up on his newsletter if I start following him on LinkedIn?
Mhm.
Does that create the newsletter, or did you have to go somewhere else and sign up for it?
No, you have to sign up for it. I think that you can do it on LinkedIn, but you have to sign up for it. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. And can you remember when you did that?
Yeah, I think it was also last year. I cannot tell you when last year, but yeah, last year. So it's relatively recent, I would say.
Okay. And what were you hoping to get from the newsletter?
Mhm. I think also some ideas about visualization, some visuals, because he also publishes visuals in his newsletters. Yeah, I think this, yeah, so just to read something that's interesting, inspiring. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And these are some excellent words that I'm going to have to dig into a little bit. So ideas about visualization, you want to get those. What does that mean? What if I open up a newsletter and I see an idea
Mhm.
about visualization? What am I seeing? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. So it's like sometimes he talks about his own process, so on how he gets inspiration. So for example, by reading a book, so a book that he likes, and then he will get some ideas from the book or wants to visualize parts of these ideas. Often the books that he's like talking about or that he's reading, so usually there's one section in his newsletter in which is titled like what I'm reading right now. And usually these books are about visualization, drawing, creating some sort of, I mean, sometimes it can be about comics or kinds of related to visualization, illustration, I would say.
okay, that's cool. The visualizing. So there was. I'm getting it. I want this newsletter to get these ideas. I also want to get the visualizations themselves. What does that mean?
So usually, I mean, he usually also has at least, I would say, one visual in his newsletter, and often it's also like a good visual. So it means it's interesting also to see. It's not the main purpose, I think, of his newsletter. So usually only has one or two, I think. So the rest is about the process of visualization, ideas, what he's reading.
Are these different visuals to the ones that? Because obviously you said you're following on LinkedIn and Instagram anyway. So are you getting a new visual from the newsletter, or are you just getting something you've already seen?
No, I think it's the same, but I mean, I certainly miss some of them on LinkedIn or Instagram. So, but sometimes I think I already saw the visual, so I think it's not exclusively for the newsletter. So,
Yeah,
I think he uses them in different through different channels. Yeah.
and then you're saying that the newsletter itself is interesting and inspirational. Like interesting, just I'd rather open this email than another email.
Yes.
Or,
Yeah. Usually I always read it. So this one was because I also have other newsletters, of course, and there are some newsletters I don't read all the time, but this newsletter I usually read every time.
And so obviously you're interested in this particular subject. You've signed up to the newsletter itself. You mentioned inspiration. What were you hoping it to inspire you to do?
For example, on how to generate ideas, or some tips about the process of visualization. Yes, or something about this. Yeah.
So a lot of this is about this process of I like these visuals. They're entertaining to me, so I'll sign up and get that. But also, it seems like the missing piece of the puzzle in your head was how does he come up with the idea in the first place, not how does he draw the idea? Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's both. So he usually talks about both, so the ideas and also like on how he's not necessarily about his drawing is. I mean, this is not in the newsletter. I think it was in the course. He also talks about the tools that he's using. So the same also as Janis is doing, just different tools, I think.
Sorry, what is it about the tools that's important?
So he talks about like the apps that he's using, but also about on how to create your own style. So it's not about drawing, but it's like on, for example, what to consider about the font, about the colors, about also shapes. For example, he also talks about shapes, arrows, and how to use arrows, for example, on how to emphasize certain things in a visual. So all of this is also part of the, I would say, of the.
Okay. And this is all in the newsletter, is it?
No, this was mainly about the course. So sometimes, of course, he also talked about the newsletter, but this was mainly about in the course. Yeah.
And when you signed up to the course, did you know that that's what you were getting, or did that just happen to be something like that?
Yeah. No, I think there was like, of course, not a detailed list, but he provided some information. So I think we could see the structure of the course beforehand, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So basically, I knew more or less, I mean, maybe not about the details like the fonts, colors, everything like this, but I knew there would be at least a big part about on how to create a style and how to create visuals, one part about ideas, one part about iteration, one part I think about like publishing the visuals. So I knew the structure of the course beforehand.
Okay. And you mentioned, so you have been actually kind of been immersed in this space, been in a newsletter for a period of time, following him, and so on and so forth. You weren't actively looking for a course at that time, or were you actively looking for a course?
No, I was not actively looking for a course. So it means like I really got the offer, I guess, through the newsletter or LinkedIn. I think through the newsletter, because in the newsletter usually, because I still see it in the newsletter, I'm still receiving, because he's doing the course quite often. So I still receive. So usually he always like includes the advertisement for the course in the newsletter. So I think I saw it through the newsletter, and then it was like, so I was not looking for a course. I think maybe so, because I know of some other course, and I think I was probably then after when I was considering to take this course, I was also looking for other courses.
Oh, okay. So if I'm hearing you right, I'm not, if I'm playing you in this Netflix documentary, you're not actively out there shopping for courses on visual ideas or whatever it is, but you're constantly seeing an advert in the newsletter.
Yes.
What is it about either late 2024 or January 2025 that suddenly makes you click on the link and go and look at the course rather than just get some inspiration from the newsletter? Why then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was, I think, no specific reason. I just like, let's see, I the impression I wanted to learn something new. So I was just thinking that's a great idea and I want to do it. So it was more like an emotional decision, not necessarily something rational, that I was set a specific objective in mind or something, a specific plan.
This isn't like a New Year's resolution or something where I'm going to challenge myself to learn something new, and this just happens to land in my inbox. It's
no, it wasn't.
Nothing to do with the school year. I mean, what's going on in the school year at that time?
No, it had nothing to do. No,
just you've seen enough of this. You mentioned though that you did go looking for other courses. So does that mean that, like, if I'm trying to get the sequence right, obviously newsletter, after I've seen enough of them, I go and see that PJ's got a course. Did you sign up straight away, or did you say that you went off looking to see if there were other alternatives?
No, I was looking for other alternatives, just also I think a bit to compare the prices. Not necessarily to take another course, but just to see if like the price is reasonable, what kind of other offers there are, if they offer something comparative or it's different. So I think this was the idea, so just that I had a good, how to say, like that I could take the decision like that I had the impression that this is the right decision and not taking something that's too expensive, or that there might be another course that offers the same but is much cheaper. I mean, of course, I was inclined to take the course by PJ because I already liked the newsletter and his visuals, but still I compared a little bit and saw what else is there out.
Okay. Can you remember when you were doing that search? What did you find? Did you find what you were looking for, or was it hard to look for other alternatives?
I think I saw a few other. I think at this time I also saw Janis course. I think I saw a course by Junhan, I don't know how to pronounce correctly, another visual designer. But all the other courses that I found, maybe there were also others, but I think this I remember.
Yeah.
Another one, maybe Ash Lamp, I think he also has a course. So I think maybe the three, but I'm not 100% sure. But all the other courses, the difference was they didn't have live sessions. So it was all the other courses were all like self-paced. Self-paced courses. So they were, in a way, they were all a bit similar, I would say. And PJ's course was the only one that I found with live sessions. Even so, I couldn't attend actually so many of them, so I had to watch the recording in the end. But still, I liked the idea actually of having live sessions, and also I like having a course that is, with a teacher, and you can talk to the teacher, ask questions, and this kind of. So this is something I liked, and I think this was when I compared with other courses, it was the only one that I found that had this actually.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, at that point in time, I've gone off searching, not really, I want to take PJ's course by the sounds of things, but I also want to make sure that I'm making a good decision and I'm not paying too much for it, and that there's not something else out there. And then I find Janis, and I think it's a Junhan, and is it Ash Lamp?
Yeah, Ash Lamp. I think I'm not also Ash, and then I think it's Lamp. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think Lamp.
Okay. But though, and are they comparable prices, or are they more or less expensive?
Yeah, I think they all have more or less the same. So it's a bit cheaper than PJ's course, but I think the same price as I think Janis, Junhan, Ash Lamp. I think they all have more or less the same price. This is what I remember. Maybe I'm mistaken, but this was like
no. What you remember is more important than anything else.
Okay.
When you say they were cheaper, obviously, I think you said it was at $300 or $400
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much cheaper are they? Are they like an Udemy course that's $10, or are they half the price, or are they like $10 cheaper? Like what?
Yeah, not much cheaper. I think it was like $200 or $300. So I think the difference was actually not so big, in my opinion. So it was cheaper, but not considerably cheaper. So maybe $100 cheaper or something like this.
Okay. And so this is so the course that you've taken is like maybe $100 more expensive. I think you said this isn't like a massive amount of money to you in the first place. It's kind of coming out of your pocket that would have been spent on some sort of books or something like that anyway. You like the idea of the live sessions, and so that was worth the extra $100. Is that right?
Yeah, I think this was worth the extra $100, and also I think the course. I mean, what I learned about the course before also seemed very like it was convincing. So I think it was like, I mean, I don't want to say that that was not convincing, but in a way, I cannot remember all the details, but in a way, I had the impression it would be a good course. I don't know. This was like something like at the live sessions I think the structure was convincing of the course, the information that I got, the content. Yeah. So I think I had the impression it would be worth the price. Yeah.
Okay. The structure seems to be important. You mentioned that a few times. Well, if I'm filming you and you're looking at a course that's got a good structure that tells you this is worth the money, and then in a different scene we're filming you looking at a course that's got a bad structure and it doesn't seem to be worth the money, what's the difference in what you're seeing?
Yeah, first of all, I think not all courses have a clear structure necessarily, or maybe I cannot see them before. So I think for me it's really important to know what I will get if I take a course. So I need to, and for me structure is always important. So I like also something in my teaching when I'm reading essays from students. So I'm like a person that really like values a good structure that is clear and in which I can see like logical structure, and then I can see the things that I would like to learn.
Okay, so is this more like the curriculum So is it to do with the whole landing page description, or is it just when I see the curriculum and I say, oh, it's starting at the introduction, it's teaching me these skills, it makes sense in this order, tick, the structure, I can't see the content, but the structure of maybe the table of contents is right? Or is it the whole way it's described and explained, or am I miles off and I'm not explaining this as well?
Yeah, no, I think it was relatively short. You're right. So I see the structure. I remember it was 6 parts, and then you have the sixth part with a short description, if I remember correctly, and that made sense. And you have like one live session for each part, actually, so they're connected. So you have one live session, and in one live session he talked about one overarching topic, and then you have all the resources for this topic in the course, in the online course.
Okay. And again, resources in this case were templates and like drawings at different stages in their levels of completion. Is that right?
Yeah, it was templates, documents, just takes also a few short videos. So actually there were the live recordings, and in addition to this, he also had like another short videos in the course, and also links to online resources. So for example, there are some tools I remember on how to create your own color, color palette, you say, and the color, like the color that you are using, like the different colors, for example. So he was providing us with certain resources, also like on how to create a font, for example, or how to also like resources, for example, online resources on how to learn to draw. So all of this, so it was actually relatively, it was rich in resources, I would say.
Okay, so if I'm trying to make sure I'm playing this back, I land on PJ's course. It's a well-documented 6-step process that makes sense to me. Within each of them, I see I've got a live lesson, and I'll have this opportunity to join that. There's also pre-recorded videos that I can go and learn about this, links to places elsewhere, and links to templates and tools and things like that that'll help me build up my color palette, font, and that. How do I know I need to do that?
Because it was also in the live session, so he was explaining why we should do this, or why we can do this. So this was also part of this. So basically everything was connected, of course, to the live session or to the process.
Thanks. Now, sorry, let me just make a bit of space on this. Oops. I'm very pleased I've got my digital tablet back. As it was broken last week, and writing on pen and paper is much harder for me these days. Thanks. So it's really interesting. So it sounds like the structure of this is kind of bound up to the materials, but also linked to this live session per course. And that you like that because you could talk and ask questions, but you only went to 2 of them. Did you know you'd only make 2 of them at the time, or did?
No, actually, I didn't know it. So I was planning actually to attend more of the live sessions, but then I was realizing, because it's starting at, I think it was 2 o'clock in the morning, so in the night basically, and then for 1.5 hours, so it was like just too late for me. So I was like, I was thinking maybe I can do it, but then in the end I was realizing it's actually too tiresome for me to get to stay awake until 3:30 in the morning. Actually, I could only attend 2, and then I watched the recordings actually for the other live sessions. So the idea was actually I wanted to attend more of the live session actually.
Okay, so you wanted to, but obviously it's 2 a.m. and you've got a job to do. So I mean, looking back on your experience with PJ's course, did you get the extra value that you'd paid for the live sessions, or was it worth it?
Yeah, maybe not necessarily for the live sessions. I mean, the course was definitely worth the money, so I don't regret it at all. It was really great. But for the live sessions, maybe not. I mean, there's one thing that I still haven't done, but actually he proposes us that we can do the course a second time for free. So actually there was an opportunity to do it a second time. And once a year, I think during summertime, so he do it because then he is on vacation in his own job, and then he's doing it, I think, in the afternoon in the US, which then translate to the evening in Europe, which is then much more feasible. This summer I couldn't do it because I had, unfortunately, during this time when he was proposing the course, I had other things to do, but I'm still planning maybe so this means like this was also something actually that I think is great, that he gives us the opportunity to do the course a second time for free at the time that we are available. So basically I can still do it.
Okay.
No limit, I think.
So even though I got 2 out of 6, the course was worth the money anyway, and the fact that I can come back and retake it at some future point when maybe I can fit it in means that I don't feel like I've lost anything.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. So can you remember when did that course finish?
It was also I think in January. It's relatively compressed, so you have 2 live sessions per week. So that means it was like only 3 weeks. So I think it finished at the end of January, I think. Yeah, so I think it started early January, and then so it was basically in 3 weeks' time. Yeah.
Okay. And did you use what you'd learned at that point? Is that when you started posting on LinkedIn, or?
Yeah, exactly, because he encouraged us just to start. I think it was a great. He said like you are never ready or will never be perfect, so just start and do it. And then I just said, okay, it's good. I will just do it and then try to improve over time.
Okay, that's cool. And so posting on LinkedIn. So you've taken this course, you spent $300 or $400 on it. Obviously didn't get it. How do you go from being on PJ's course to suddenly thinking, you know what, I'd like another course on visual ideas? Like, how did you move to finding Janis's course and taking that?
Yeah, because I also like Janis visuals. I was also following him for some time. I think I also started in 2024. And then I was thinking, okay, so he's also a great visual thinker. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe I can still learn more new skills. And then I was thinking, why not taking this course as well and see if I get some new skills, some new ideas that I haven't learned before. So this was basically the idea.
In this case here, can you remember which package did you buy from Janis? Did you buy I think there was one where it was just the training course, and then there's one where it's maybe some assistance. What did you do?
No, only the basic, so only the training course, so without any kind of sessions with him. So just the most basic one, yeah.
Okay. This week, I don't know how many stupid questions I've asked now. You've chosen PJ's course at the time because it had live education. You've gone to a third of the live sessions. Now you see Janis's course, and it does have live sessions, and presumably it's in Europe, so at your time. Why have you bought a more expensive course that you can't attend? And why not pay for the live sessions with Janis?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. I think the live sessions with Janis were quite expensive, if I remember correctly. So I think the difference between the basic package, I think the basic package was like €200 or $1, I think, if I remember correctly. And I think if you add live sessions with him, I mean, it's one-to-one sessions, I think. But I think there was a relatively big difference in the price, if I remember correctly. So I was thinking, okay, it was maybe like €500. I also don't remember correctly, but I remember that I was thinking there's a relatively big gap between the basic course and the live sessions, which are certainly worth it, I guess. But at this time, I was thinking, okay, it's maybe too expensive, and probably maybe the basic course will be enough for me.
Okay, and I guess if you think it's, I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding the thought process, or that I could replicate it. So obviously, historically, I've spent a bit more money to get live sessions. Now there's a bigger difference. So in the first decision, it was maybe $100 different to get live sessions with PJ. Now it's maybe $500 difference or something like that. I think you said it. You thought they were worth the money, and obviously $300 or $400 wasn't a lot of money before. So what if they're worth the money? Why not spend it and get that live education?
Yeah. I think maybe because I also didn't really know at that time, because with PJ there were live sessions, but it was like a classroom setting. So that means it was not. I mean, I could ask questions, of course, but I did not necessarily plan to ask any question. I also didn't ask any question in the end, actually. So it was just the idea that we actually live in a group of people with him. So I like this kind of setting. But with Janis, I think it was only the two of, I would have only been the two of us, which is also great. But I think I was also actually not sure what kind of questions I want to ask. I mean, of course, I guess he could have given me great feedback for my visuals and like this. But for some reason, when I was thinking about it or deciding about it, I didn't seem it would be worth some money at this point. I was thinking maybe in the future I can still do, but when I was taking the course, I just wanted to have a second course, different perspective, different materials, maybe new insights. I didn't really thought about like taking the live sessions also.
Okay, no problem. Thanks. So when did, sorry, off the top of my notes, you said you joined this in May. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but something like this. So it was like, I think it was in May, so I think late spring or early summer. So I don't remember exactly. Maybe it was also months before or later, but
okay. No. And I guess does this relate to you posting your visuals on LinkedIn, or was it just, hey, I've got nothing to learn right now. Let me go and take a course so I can learn a bit more.
Yeah, I think it was related also to posting my visuals, that I really was spending already more time on this kind of endeavor. So I was like posting visuals. I was attending a group of visual thinkers or discussing my own visuals and visuals of others. So that means I was more into the process in general of visualization, learning on how to visualize. So this was maybe the main reason I would say that I was already spending more time on it and thought maybe I can still improve.
And you say spending more time. How much time were you spending on this maybe before PJ's course, and how much after?
So before PJ's course, I was not spending any time on it. So as I said, of course, doing presentation, I was kind of like designing my presentation, but I would separate this from what I learned at PJ's course, because it's still quite different, I would say. So basically before PJ's course, I was not spending any time on this. And then after PJ's course, I was spending maybe 3 to 6 hours a week, I would say.
Okay. And this is just to push these ideas out, practice, and play around with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Did you get good response to the things you were pushing out?
Yeah, I got some good response. I didn't have many like people seeing it or liking it, but I had some good responses. But not like overwhelming feedback. So it was not like maybe usually between like 15 or 10 and 25 people liking it usually. Like, so it's not like a huge amount of
okay
people.
What were you hoping for when you posted them?
Yeah, I didn't really have any expectations, to be honest. So I was just happy about everyone who just gave me good feedback and nice comments. So actually, I was happy about everyone that liked it.
The feedback, is that a feedback on the design, a feedback on the idea? Like what were you hoping to get feedback on?
I think just that people understand it, also the design and the idea. So it was every feedback actually. And then like for the real feedback, because usually on LinkedIn people just say something nice. I mean, but of course I value like something. It's like they like the idea, or it's like wonderful idea, or cute avatar, something like this. So of course this is also great for me. But like for more, let's say, constructive, more detailed, and also more criticism, I actually went or still attending like this kind of visual thinkers group, because then they also give me like critical feedback and like really what I can improve. This kind of, and this on LinkedIn. Usually I don't get this.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Thanks for that. And so you joined Janis's course. You said it was $200. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was also a discount if I remember correctly. So I think it was like maybe $300 original price, and then I think I got it cheaper.
Okay. When you signed up to that in May, what were you hoping for?
Yes, good idea. Actually, the same as in Milani's course. I just was thinking maybe he has a different process on how to create visuals, maybe some other ideas. And he has, so it was also good for me actually. So we have another perspective. Also, like what I liked about the course, that he's going through the process, so from the first idea until he really has finished the visual. So this was also great for me. So PJ was not doing this; it was more like more sequential. Also, was we doing like talking about one step in more detail, and like for Janis, he had like sessions or videos where he was going through the whole process. So it was actually great for me to see it like in a relatively short amount of time on how he comes up with an idea, and then on how he has like different checks, like is this a good idea or not, and how to can elaborate on this idea, and then like trying it out with different kinds of styles and visualizations. And this was something I find really valuable, actually, yeah, really valuable and interesting. It was something different.
And when you signed up, either with Janis or with PJ, what were you worried about?
Yeah, I mean, worried maybe that it was not worth the money, so I was spending a lot of money and I will not learn anything. But I was not really worried. So actually, I was for both quite confident that it would be good, because I was like already seeing their visuals, and I was thinking, so okay, probably it will be, yeah, there will be good courses. But so I didn't really have worries, to be honest.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Look, that's awesome. I've asked you some of the stupidest questions I think you've probably been asked. What would a smart man like yourself have asked? What have I missed in this story that might be important?
You mean in general, or about like?
If you think in the story of how you've gone from, not caring about this stuff to finding people on LinkedIn to learning about courses, to taking the courses, and now thinking about taking an art class. Have I missed anything important in terms of the questions I've asked?
No, I think actually I told the entire story, or at least like the most important part, I would say. Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. Look, Frederic, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for that. At the end of this, obviously, we have recorded it. Would it be okay if we publish this as part of the research, just to compare your story with the others, as that's what we're going to ultimately do?
So you want to publish it where, if I may ask? It's like
yeah. So I've got a website with a case study page that we're running right now. I think we've already got 6. I don't know how many, 6 or 7. We've done quite a few of these. So it's kind of, we're going to do, I think, 18 different interviews in total. And so really it's, this conversation here, I'll then analyze this and pull out what I think the important stories are. And then at a future stage, we're going to kind of group you together with other people who share a similar set of motivations, and see what that teaches Janis about potentially changing his pricing, about improving his marketing, his product, or whatever it might be. So we don't really know what we're going to learn yet. But obviously, we'd like to include you in the analysis. But if we're publishing the analysis and we don't publish your story, then it's going to be, I guess it would be omitting something from the research stage.
Of course, yeah, that's one. Like, but it's like public, so everyone can see it, or it's
correct. It would just be like a YouTube video or something like that. We'd embed in a blog post. There's one of many that we've run through this.
Yeah, it's okay. I think everything that we talked about is like.
Yeah, it's not like we're dealing with nuclear secrets or
Yeah.
anything like that. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
your story, so it's always polite to ask and get your consent before we do anything like that.
Yeah. Now that's okay. You can publish it. Yeah.
Awesome. That's super. Look, thank you so much. I'll let you get back to your afternoon, and wish you all the best in your journey learning this stuff, and hopefully you get a good art class coming out of it.
Yeah, thank you very much also for your awesome questions, and have a great day. Thank you.
Right. Cheers. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
So there he was very kind, shared a very interesting story about both of those switches, and he was kind enough to let us use this recording. Afterwards, you can listen in. This is my thoughts immediately post the interview, and then in a separate video, I will put in the 2 different sets of 4 forces diagrams for this and explain a little bit about why I see subtle differences. And I don't know if this is going to matter yet. I'm not trying to preempt something or bias it. I just want to add that, capture all of the colour that we've got, and make sure that we're doing the most thorough analysis we can possibly be doing.
Okay, so that's actually quite an interesting one. So today I've been, what are we now, the 15th of September. So I was actually working on debriefing Alex's video from probably about 5 or 6 ago, if you're watching this live. And at the time I was convinced Alex and Aditi and Jackie are joining these courses for similar things. And they are. And I would also definitely include Frederic in that list of people. It's I'm attempting to explain my ideas, and I want to do, I want to improve it. I want to be better at communicating. So it's very much about that. I will be interested to see when we analyze this, whether we get this one massive group of people who are all doing it for the same reasons, or whether we pull 2 different groups of people out. And I think this interview with Frederic gives a little bit of thinking about the pricing and the decision making that's going into that as well. Hopefully we see a little more. We've got a few coming that are people who paid full price for Janis's course. But in this case here, that I'll pay more for the live sessions. I am wondering, and I really will want to hear what other people have to say, but I think he said there, like, we've heard it from Aditi as well, they're not short of the money. They could afford to pay for it. But if I'm joining into this and I'm trying to learn how to do this, I didn't have any questions when I did PJ's course. So I joined those live sessions because I'd like to have the interaction and all this stuff, but I didn't have any questions. So therefore, what am I getting out of it? But ideas coming up from this are saying, well, actually, there's this sort of feedback that Janis is providing in the course at the moment, and it's kind of asynchronous. Is there a middle ground where some is live, where there's groups of people who are invited on, where there's this community? Because he's joined a visual ideas community locally to him, where he's sitting down discussing this, and this is about the feedback. And it's, is my idea clear? I think is the feedback people are looking for. And if you hear that, I think that's what Aditi likes, that's what Alex liked. Jackie, I don't think, used it. But if you look at it, I've got my idea in my head. I've translated that idea into a visual. But the whole point of that for people in this type of group with this kind of motivation is so that it's easier for other people to understand. If I go and post that up on LinkedIn, I think he's really bothered. He's not getting loads of likes or anything. He doesn't care about getting huge engagement, but he wants to get feedback. But the kind of feedback you get on LinkedIn from 25 friends is, yay, go you, awesome, really love it, or just a like or whatever. And that doesn't tell you anything. It certainly doesn't tell you whether they've understood the idea. Whereas if I sit in a group with people in real time and they say, I don't understand that, it's kind of that critical, I've written it down, what do I think it was here, constructive criticism. Now, that's what Janis provides in these asynchronous feedback sessions. Is there some way of baking this in as a live or different time zones or something like that as an offer as part of the course? I don't know which price point it goes into at the moment, but these are the kinds of ideas. When we see the groupings come out, when we can see the difference between who spent what, we'll be able to do that. I wonder here, do I debrief 2 stories on this? Because again, the motivation to join the courses is not really different. It's I'm learning this. I want to keep on learning this. What do I want to learn? I want to learn the ideas. I want to learn the process. I want to learn like, how do you refine these ideas? How do I make it so that my visuals communicate this idea as clearly as possible? I'll spend more money on it when I see value in the live session, and that, you know, that value is not too dissimilar or distinct from the cheaper session. And if I can't see the value in paying more because I don't think I need it, or because I'm not going to use it, or whatever, then I'll collapse back and go on the DIY option itself. So really interesting there. Really grateful that you gave us the opportunity to publish this one. Hopefully everybody else has enjoyed this. I'm still learning, and here we are on, you know, whatever this is, interview 15 or 16 or so, something like that. So great stuff, and enjoy. Cheers.